All right, everyone. Hello there in Gatorland. Welcome to Two Guys, One Swamp, the podcast. We're your hosts, Austin and Trey. Happy to be here as always. You doing all right, Trey?
I'm doing great, man. It's been a big day, big news day. A lot to talk about.
Yeah, before we get to that, is something different about you? Did you change your hair or anything different about you?
No?
No? What about the room you're sitting in?
Yeah. Yeah, I just moved. So, yeah. Just bought a new place.
Yep, Trey's now a homeowner. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yep. Upper echelon society now.
Yeah.
But as he said, we have a lot of stuff to get into, and we're going to dive right into it. And our first segment is Big Baugh Energy coming back to Gainesville. Jaden Baugh announced today, after what felt like a forever wait, that he will be returning to the Gators next season. Um, Baugh last year had over 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns, and as well as 200 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. He had a huge year. He will be coming back and leading the Gators rushing attack. And I feel like, honestly, of the Fab Five that we talked about, he's the most surefire thing that we have coming back. And it is huge news for the Gators, and I can't wait to see what he'll do next year.
Yeah, absolutely. He's our easily our most proven commodity, not just on offense, but on the team overall. Definitely our best player last season, our most productive player. Yeah, getting him to come back this year was not easy, evidently by how long it took to get a deal done. There were lots of suitors, but yeah, it's a huge jolt of energy into the fan base, and it's going to give John Summerall a great starting point uh, for the offense next year. The rumors are that he's making over $1 million next year, which honestly was less than I expected. I thought it would end up being more than that. So if we're keeping him home for just like a little over $1 million for next year, I mean that's exciting.
Right, and people try to devalue the running back position these days, but when you have a running back that touches the ball as often as Baugh does, and makes as many plays as he does, I think the value is sky high still, and he's going to be paid like that, of course. Uh, and we saw a lot of rumors that Texas was going to throw him a monster offer, which they probably did through his agent or whatever kind of, back channels people go through in the dark web or whatever. But yeah, obviously he never officially went into the portal, as far as we know. So technically, he,
So that means no other schools are contacting him, right? Because that's against the rules.
yeah, you would think, but I don't know if that actually is how it went down. And I'm sure I also heard Texas, as well as Georgia and Ohio State,
Mhm.
were trying to get him to enter, and he spurned all of them while not being in the portal. So,
Yeah.
technically, he never told them no. He just, never gave them the answer to begin with.
Mhm.
But huge news for us. And I know Buster Faulkner has to be ecstatic to have him, as you said, leading our rushing attack. But also, this is kind of a side note, but uh, he also, I feel like, will have more protection this upcoming year too, both with having a very capable and healthy veteran behind him, and Evan Pryor, who we'll get into more
Mhm.
later on, but also because he now has a phenomenal offensive line coach to coach the big guys in front of him. And we've already seen some portal commitments there, which we'll also get into. But I have to think that partly went into his decision what our plan was on O-line, and it's already yielded big results, I think.
Yeah, that had to have had played a big part in him staying. I he seems I assume he's an intelligent guy and he's got good representation behind him, and he's trying to get to the NFL this year. this should be his last year in college football, barring anything drastic going wrong. But yeah, I'm sure he's been working very closely with, I mean, Buster Faulkner, of course, but with Phil Troutwine, getting an understanding of what the plan is. Uh, so yeah, we've got three offensive linemen in the portal. Maybe there's more to come, but either way, it's exciting for the offense. I think I want to touch again on what you said earlier about the running back position kind of being devalued in today's college football. Well, that is partially because a lot of teams are rotating backs in and out. They're playing guys two and three deep there, like they were like Billy was. And I feel like that's fine with most running backs. That's advantageous for most teams. But yeah, when you have a guy who is a true difference maker like Baugh is, and I mean there's maybe like 10 or 15 running backs that you can really say this about in the country. The guys who are true difference makers, and it's like those are the guys who need to be getting 20 plus touches per game, not a measly little old 10 carries.
Yeah, and I think it's got to feel extra sweet for Gator fans a bit because of that bitter taste with Trevor Etienne a couple years ago.
Oh
Do you
yeah.
remember that? And we had, our best offensive player, arguably, go to Georgia because he wanted to be part of a winning program, maybe get a bigger NIL deal. I don't know, but ultimately, I think it was to maybe win a championship. But
Mhm.
um, just a few years later, we have a similar scenario. We have uh, a losing team, and then another playoff team comes after maybe our best player. This time, our best player tells him, "Thanks, but no thanks," especially to his former position coach, Jabbar Jalook,
Yeah.
which I saw a funny like post today was like a Texas fan asking if Jabbar Jalook came with a receipt because they'd already like to return him. Um,
Yeah.
which, he's going to do well there. He's a good coach, but
Mhm.
I'm happy he didn't get his guy to follow him. But yeah, everyone should be ecstatic about this. It's probably the biggest news. There's been a lot of big news happening, but which I think we maybe briefly or didn't get to touch on Dallas Wilson coming back
Yeah.
during our last episode. But the Tampa boy will be back at UF next year to catch passes from maybe Aaron Philo, maybe Tramel Jones, probably Aaron Philo. But yeah, so that is four of the Fab Five now officially returning. And there is rumors out there that, which not so much rumors because there's physical proof that Summerall, Brad White, and Bam Hardman are in Kansas right now visiting Jaden Woods, trying to get him back in the fold.
Oh baby. Oh
Oh, baby.
baby.
Start telling lies if that happens. I think he's the 12th ranked player in the portal right now, which
Is
would be kind
he?
of cool if we could add to our portal ranking by getting him back, which would kind of be cheating also.
Yeah, yeah.
That basically be getting like a 5-star transfer.
Would that even count
From school.
in our portal rankings?
I don't think it
Or
does,
would
but
it just say like he's out of the portal?
right, right. Um,
Well, actually, I guess with the way they calculate it now, they count your players leaving counts against you, so it would help us either way.
yeah. Either way, I don't think there's an edge rusher like him in the portal that we could get other than him. I
Yeah,
know we've had a few visit, including Adam Trick from Miami of Ohio, but
he just committed to Texas Tech, I think.
shocker.
Yeah,
So basically, I know there's other guys out there, but if you get Jaden Woods back, you're getting back probably an all conference level talent.
hmm yeah, for sure. Especially if Bam Hardman works the magic that he's been working for the last decade or so at Tulane and Troy. I mean, I mentioned it last time, I think, but yeah, he's coached 23 all conference players in, I believe it's 11 years of coaching, 9 years at Troy and 2 at Tulane. That's more than two all conference players per season. That's
Yeah, he's the real
insane.
deal.
That is insane. So yeah, there's a lot of reason for him to come back. I'm sure he'll be compensated handsomely as well. So yeah. All right, come on, John. Come on, John. Let's get this one done.
Yeah, I really hope Bam Harmon brings that up in their meeting tonight
Hmm.
while they're having pie or whatever. But um, it is hard to turn down being in a Will Muschamp defense at Texas, but I think he'll thrive in whatever scheme he's in. And Texas probably has a few guys he might have to rotate with. I don't think we have an edge rusher of his caliber on the roster. So
I
hopefully
mean,
we're
LJ
selling.
McCray could turn into that.
Let's hope. He did only play one game, as we talked about last year.
Yeah, but
But
I
yeah,
mean that was partially due to injury.
right. And we haven't really seen what he's capable of truly. He could be at that level that Jaden Woods is at. I do agree. And hey, be better, even better to have a tandem,
Hmm.
of those two. So fingers crossed. Um, but we have a lot more to get into as
We
well.
do.
But before we do that, I do wanted to remind people why we call them the Fab Five. It's because we truly believe, and the Fab Five being Dallas Wilson, Jaden Baugh, Burnell Brown, Jaden Woods, and Miles Graham. We believe that those five guys will challenge to be all conference talents,
Mhm.
and we're confident in that. So four or five of them are back. Fifth one is visiting with the staff right now. So good vibes all around there.
Hey, they're
But now,
1 for 1 so far.
huh?
They're 1 for 1 so far.
Right. Yep. So we're gonna move on to our next segment, which is called "Put Our Thoughts Inside You" Portal Talk Edition. And really, the Gators have just gone nuclear in the portal today, especially with seven total commitments. Now having 11, 12 unofficially because of that Georgia Tech guy that I guess is expected to transfer but hasn't made it official yet. But the portal's only been open since Friday, and having 11/12 commitments is really, honestly, way more urgency than I ever saw from the last staff. And I'm really impressed so far, honestly.
Yeah, and they're going after. See, it's not necessarily like the big names in the portal that we're going after so much. So, but they seem to be hitting on the guys that they are going after. So I think for now, at least, there needs to just be some trust in the evaluation. And like I keep saying, just at this point, just giving the staff the benefit of the doubt. The only one so far that it really feels like they missed on was the Iowa State cornerback who ended up committing to USC. Um, but other than that, it seems like they've gotten
You
most
mean
of the
Penn
guys
State?
who they've been targeting and going after hard, which is a good sign. So for the time being, like I'm not looking at the rankings of the players so much as just seeing that the staff is getting who they want.
Right. You're talking about Rocco Beck, right?
No, no, I honestly no, I'm talking about the cornerback who went to USC.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said quarterback.
No, 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 no. There wasn't any like actual smoke per se about Rocco Becht coming to UF. It was just people were saying it because myself included, because he's from Florida and his girlfriend goes to UF. But I mean, he never visited Florida, and it was pretty strongly assumed that he was just going to follow Matt Campbell at Penn State. So that wasn't a huge surprise.
Right. And I believe you're talking about John Tess Williams, right? The cornerback.
Yes.
Yeah. He is from Stark, and his mother is a UF grad. So it was believed that
Hmm.
um, he would ultimately land with the Gators, but I believe he got a huge offer from USC.
Oh, I'm sure.
Um, More than a corner is probably worth. I know we're disrespecting him, but I think he got almost like left tackle money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, good for him. Use that money to your advantage, go change your life. But ultimately, we already have a good cornerback room.
Yeah,
So,
that is one good thing is that cornerback, it would have been it would have been a cherry on top of a not not elite production wise, but a very solid and now more experienced cornerback room. Safety we do need. We need at least one more guy safety. We got one safety in the portal so far, but I think we need at least one more. I would really say two. I think we need two more safeties. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And instead of being mysterious now, we're actually going to start dropping the names of these guys. Starting off with our new quarterback, Aaron Philo from Georgia Tech, made it official. He will be coming to Gainesville, and he's Buster Faulkner's guy, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
He has complete trust in him, and he knows the system. He has been in practice with some of these guys that might come to Gainesville, like already. We'll get into it more in a second, but Bailey Stockton, the wide receiver, some of these linemen that might follow Faulkner here, and really, he's a guy that had amazing high school stats, broke Trevor Lawrence's passing yards record, has had surprisingly little college action, but in the film I've watched of him, and I'm sure you've seen some too, I really like his moxie, his accuracy, his pocket awareness. He just hasn't done it against quote unquote, big schools yet, which is TBD.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and his PFF rating for the people who care about that was 80 on I think it was like 67 or 66 snaps this season, which
Yep.
was I think it was fourth on Georgia Tech, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. But yeah, not a ton of experience, but he seems to be Buster Faulkner's guy. And I think a lot of people thought that we were going to be taking multiple quarterbacks in the portal. Maybe we will. I personally, I still hope we will. I don't want to just put all of our eggs into the Aaron Philo basket alone. But like I've said, already said multiple times this episode, giving the staff the benefit of the doubt. So we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean his college stats are pretty limited, but I just want to read out his high school stats very quickly, especially from his senior year, because um, I mean they were just crazy. His senior year, he had 4,596 yards passing, along with 56 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Okay, and I mean it was just insane stuff. 70% completion percentage almost. He pretty much dominated in a. It was a smaller classification in Georgia. It was private, but ultimately, I think ballers ball, and that's what he did. That's what he does. I heard that maybe a little bit of politicking went on when he was at Georgia Tech because Brent Key and the fans were such big Haynes King fans that maybe he didn't get as much of a chance as he should have gotten. And I mean, we have to remember Buster Faulkner watched this guy in practice every day for 2 years, and he's willing to, pretty much not bank his reputation, but, bank a lot of goodwill, pretty much his head coaching future on um, a quarterback like Philo. And I'm pretty encouraged by the tape I've watched of him, as I've said before. And I think that he will ultimately have, I would say, inside track on the starting job. It will be a competition, but I think he has the tools necessary to really have a much better year than Lagway did this past season.
I think so, yeah. And so you read off his passing stats in high school there. He had almost 10 yards per attempt, by the way, which is really good. But he also had over 600 yards rushing and over 7 yards per rushing attempt. So that means, I mean, he's a guy who's not going to get sacked a lot, and who's going to, it honestly, doesn't even matter that much if he can just like break off long touchdown runs at the high school level. A lot of guys can do that. Uh, but it shows that he can, you know, not have the negative plays is really where that's important, because when you see these guys who have like 200 attempts and like zero point 0.1 yards per rush. It's like, yeah, they might get some yards, but they're having a lot of negative plays as well.
That's a Kyle Trask stat line.
Yeah, and
I
well,
think he
DJ
had,
Lagway this year. Yeah.
yeah, I think Trask probably had 50 rush attempts and like 45 yards in total.
Oh, probably
And
less than
sure,
that.
Lagway probably he got a little bit better running wise at the end of the year, but
He did. They
beginning,
gave him some design runs. They gave him some design runs.
yeah, it was basically like just put one foot in front of the other and just fall forward. That was his
Yeah.
design run.
Yeah. Well, I'm hopefully what you're saying about him and about Philo and Haynes King is true. Because if so, I mean, hey, Haynes King was he was like top 10 or top 15 in the Heisman voting. So if we can get a guy who's
Yeah,
capable of that kind of performance, or even better, perhaps, then I mean we're in for a treat. But I mean it's understandable that they even if they were similar to each other in practice, it would make sense to go with King considering he's a guy with the more experience and he was the incumbent starter. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how the quarterback competition goes. I like I said before, I hope we still bring in another guy. But if not, then yeah, Buster Faulkner will kind of be banking his reputation a little bit on Philo. So hopefully it pans out.
yeah, and just to surmise what we both said, because you did bring up his rushing stats. He had 15 touchdowns rushing and then 56 passing, so he had 71 total his senior year.
Well, baby.
I don't care what like competition you play. I mean, that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is man. Okay. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, but he is a very talented dude. But
Mhm.
we're gonna go ahead and move on to his one of his favorite receivers, Bailey Stockton, who committed to Florida after 2 seasons at Georgia Tech, has 439 career yards, had, I believe, just over 200 each season he was there. But he's going to be, I think, a reliable safety net for Philo. I think they're both very comfortable with each other. And I know this is another hearsay thing, but I also saw that maybe he is expecting to get more catches or touches with Philo as quarterback instead of Haynes King, because maybe they ran a lot more reps together in practice
Mhm.
at Georgia Tech. But basically, I mean, every good team has a reliable wide receiver. Let's just be honest. I
Yeah.
mean, that's uh, it really happens every single time. Who was the guy for Hunter Renfro for Clemson? Seemed to make a
Mhm.
million big time catches.
Yeah.
So
Hey, Trent
Bailey,
Whittingham for a couple of years. He was really good for us.
right? Yeah, and then of course Ricky Pearsall.
Ricky
Um,
Pearsall, of course. He's the best of them all.
he wasn't a slot guy, I think, but still, just a very good
You know,
receiver,
he was really like sneaky athletic, I think. A locker room guy.
real gym rat type,
Well, yeah.
right? Date your
First
daughter.
in, last out.
Yeah, really excited about Bailey Stockton. As I said, and I believe he will be a good safety net for Philo. And we're going to move on to the next commit, which is my personal favorite and actually was my number one want out of the portal. And I'm probably going to butcher his last name, but
I'll let you
it's
try that
Emmanuel.
one.
Right. You sure you don't want to?
No, I'm good.
Emmanuel Oibadejo from Jacksonville State. I think I'm close enough.
Close
From
enough.
Jacksonville State. This guy's really interesting because he's 6'7". Uh, I'm not going to do the move, but 6'7".
Oh, come on. I didn't even think about that.
I know no one thought about it for weeks until
Oh,
I just randomly bring it up. But 6'7", 320 pounds.
that
But he
ruined my
plays.
day.
What's that?
That ruined my day.
I'm sorry, Trey. Well, it's almost tomorrow, so I think you'll be okay. But he's 320 pounds and plays defensive end, actually, um,
Mhm. Hey,
usually.
you can at 6'7", you can be pretty lean at 315.
Yeah, I saw a picture of him. He does not look, he's actually carrying a lot of bad weight. He looks like a strong, big, strong dude. Um, he is actually from England,
Mhm.
and he is kind of new to football. Didn't start football until he was 19. So technically, I think it's only been 2 years for him that he's played.
Oh
He,
shoot. Yeah.
yeah, he didn't really play much at all last year, his first year at Jack State.
Hmm.
This year, he got a lot of run, and he was a starter, and he had 4.5 sacks as a big kind of hybrid edge, which I think is honestly a pretty good stat line. Had around, I believe, 27 tackles. I don't have it in front of me,
He
but
had he had 40, so he had 41 total tackles, 27 solo tackles, which would have been top five on the Gators defense this past year and number one out of the D linemen. And like you said, he had 4.5 sacks and 6.5 tackles for loss. He had two forced fumbles, and I think potentially my favorite stat, he had five pass breakups as a D line.
really, so I guess it
Yes,
was Big
five
Baugh's up
pass
there then.
breakups, which would have been number two on the Gator defense last year. Number two. Yeah, at 6'7", he can get up there. I mean, we saw in the playoffs this past weekend. I think it was the Georgia Ole Miss game. There were like eight passes that got batted down at the line, and it really affected the game. So if we can get a guy in the middle or on the edge who can do that, that's gonna make a big difference.
Yeah, and just he has an NFL frame, and I really think with the proper coaching, which is what he will get here, and if he really locks in, he could be. I'm not gonna say early round draft pick, but he has the potential to be. I'm not gonna promise that,
Oh yeah,
but
for sure.
I really do think he's one of those guys that is a late bloomer, and I'm really, really happy we were able to get him in the fold. Especially, I think he was on his Texas A&M visit.
Hmm.
Gerald Chapman was still communicating with him and his family, and once he finished up that visit, I think he realized with how much a priority he was being made that he should just go ahead and make the call for the good guys. So very happy about that. I think he will be a starter. If he's not, he will be first off the bench type of guy.
Hmm.
But great front seven pickup. And Brad White usually has just massive guys up front too that
Hmm.
anchors defense. And there you go, right there. There's a big one.
Yeah, there was that one D lineman for Kentucky. I'm blanking on his name, but he terrorized us for years until I
Yeah,
mean,
the nose tackle.
yeah, and yeah, he had that one blocked field goal like 2 or 3 years ago. Uh, he, he had like another like forced fumble against us in another game. Yeah, so those kinds of dudes matter. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's why they're so highly paid in the portal too. I mean, even though Emmanuel was not like a five-star high school guy or anything, because of what he can do for you, he can probably even play a little bit of three tech too. But he probably commanded a bag, so we probably had to pay up for him. And
Mm.
Dion Walker is who I believe you're thinking of, who played
Yes,
for
that's
Kentucky.
who it was. Deion Walker.
Yeah, we were terrified of him. I remember that. Not me personally, but like our offensive line.
Do you think you could take him?
I think I could. Maybe not on the that day he like blocked the field goal, forced the fumble. You said that, but maybe another day.
Yeah. Back when you
But
were in high school.
maybe in high school, yeah. Um, Next guy coming up is Evan Pryor, running back from Cincinnati, who honestly, this might be my number two favorite because
Yeah.
this guy is a player, okay? Former top 100 recruit, went to Ohio State. Um, he is actually quite old. I believe this will be he's already 23. So
Dang.
it'll be his 6 year um, this coming up season. But he has had,
Was
or
he
he had,
class of was he class of 2020 then?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're better at math than me, so that's probably correct. But he had 522 yards and three touchdowns last season. He had really his yards per carry
Hmm.
is what I think kind of sets him apart because it's over 7. And
And it's
That
pretty
is,
good for the previous year too, isn't it?
yeah, I believe it was around 7 as well.
Yeah.
I'll look it up just to be sure.
So a consistent home run threat.
Yeah, he's a change of pace guy, which, well, I mean, it's cliche, but he's the Lightning, the Boss Thunder now. Now they're both
Mhm.
officially coming.
Yeah.
Um, so just to fact check myself, it was 6.9 this year, and then last year it was 7.5, which is pretty daggone good. And then he also is a good receiver. He had 107 yards this season and then 181 yards last season. Scored a touchdown in each year's receiving wise. He's not a guy that he might just know his role, because he doesn't seem like a guy that demands a lot of touches. He had 76 carries this year, 56 last year. He knows, hey, I'm kind of like a 10 touch a game guy, and I'm just going to get you, an explosive play.
Mhm.
And that's really who I am.
Yeah, and if he does anywhere close to that level of production for us and in a supporting role to Jaden Baugh, then that running game is going to be pretty awesome. And I think that kind of transitions as well to the next group of players. I think we can kind of talk about the O linemen that we're bringing in all kind of together. And we got three guys, two coming in from Penn State and one coming from Georgia Tech. The Let's see, what are the names? They are there's TJ Shanahan and Egan Boyer from Penn State, and then Harrison Moore from Georgia Tech. Shanahan's an interesting one. So he committed to Texas A&M at a high school, played one season there, and then transferred to Penn State last year and played one season there. And his numbers weren't too crazy. I mean, his for his P if you look at his PFF numbers, his overall grade was 63.8, which is like it's good. I think that's about average. His run blocking grade last year was 59.2, which is not great, but his pass blocking grade was 79.6, that is really good,
That is.
especially for such a young player. And another thing to note is that those numbers last year were a huge jump from his numbers at Texas A&M the year before. I mean, his overall PFF grade in 2024 was 48.3. So going from that all the way up to 63.8 is a massive improvement. And so we're probably not going to see that kind of improvement from year 2 to year 3, but he's going to be getting good coaching, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's pushing for a starting spot there on that line.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of competition for that O line in the spring because we actually retained a lot of our nucleus on the O line. Um, but we're also bringing in new guys that Troutwine wants. So, especially along the interior, I mean, we're gonna have a new center since Jake Slaughter's gone, but Jason Zamandala, I hope I'm saying his name right,
I think Zandamela.
Zandamela. Okay, that sounds better off the tongue. But I think he has the inside track, maybe, but there's going to be other guys that will vie for that starting center role. Maybe even Shanahan. I mean, if he wants to get on the field, maybe he'll want to play center because we have also a few other returning guards. And this Egan Boyer guy, who is 6'8", by the way,
Mm-hmm.
I believe he came his freshman year around like 260, and he's put
Mm-hmm.
on like 50 pounds. So this is an interesting caveat. The last staff really liked guys that came in heavy, uh, guys that were 340,
Yeah.
350, 330, and they like to actually mold those guys and kind of maybe lean them out a bit, like a mold of clay, or even not lean them out. Sometimes they just stayed really heavy, like Damian George.
Yeah.
But
They loved putting those 350-pound offensive guards out at tackle.
yeah, right. Yeah, I forget. I wanted to forget about that. And then they made those 350-pound tackles run a zone blocking scheme where you have
Yeah.
to, you don't have a target right in front of you. You have to move to a guy, which was super smart, but not really.
Yeah.
But anyway, um, Troutwine seems the opposite. He wants to get guys that come in lean, like he was. He was a lean lineman when he first got to Florida, and then he put on a lot of weight. And I just saw a quote from him actually. It was he came to UF around 260 and he ran a 4.8, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And he got up to around 300, 305 by his like junior year, and then he still ran a 4.8.
Dang.
So he kept that athleticism, but he put on, the weight necessary. And I think that's why he was one of our better O linemen while he was here, and what he now looks for trait wise in the guys he wants to coach. Because we're seeing him offer a lot of guys, high level guys, by the way, in high school that are not only highly rated, but they have great body types, but also maybe a little bit lean because he feels like those guys, you know, have the traits he had to come in and make the same impact he did. But he's shooting for the stars too, which I also love about him for sure.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I think we've had two, is it two five-star offensive linemen from the 2027 class visiting already? So I think I mean, with Troutwine's reputation, we got a good shot at either one of them. So, but back to the transfer portal class here. You mentioned Egan Boyer, him being 6'8". Yeah, his when you look at his performance so far, it doesn't jump off the page. It's nothing to write home about. But yeah, he's 6'8", 302, which is a great frame for O line. And I think the most important part is that obviously Troutwine wanted him, so he sees something there to coach. And Harrison Moore from Georgia Tech, he's an interesting one. He's a pretty versatile guy. He's played so last season or this past season at Georgia Tech, he started 9 games, but he started 5 of the games he started at center, and 4 of the games he started at guard. So there's a decent chance he snags a starting spot on the line just because he can play both equally well. So and he allowed 0 sacks in 2025. So that's
I
his
love that stat.
yeah, that's his claim to fame. So I think it's hopefully we can bring in at least one more O lineman would be pretty cool. But even if we just have these three, that's a really good infusion of talent.
Yeah, I don't think we're done either. Um, I think we could see a few more, or maybe one more guy, uh, be added to the class for the O line
Yeah, I would
because
love to see I would love to see us bring in a starting caliber tackle, but I know those guys are few and far between. So, but there should be a
think
lot of what?
you don't think Boyer will be the left tackle next season?
No, I would guess he's still a couple years out. He seems pretty raw
Okay,
still.
fair enough.
I would maybe like not next, maybe the season after, but I mean, he started a few games, I think, or he played in several games at Penn State this year. I think he played in like 8 games or something. So enough that he didn't redshirt, but but yeah, I think it just seems early. So who knows? He could develop, and if he wins that starting tackle job, that'll be hype. I'll be excited about that because that means he's beaten out some guys who have been here for several years in order to do it. But I think he's probably 2 years out.
Well, just a refresher. He did start. I know things got wonky a lot for Penn State, but he did start for them at left tackle in their bowl game. I'd be more comfortable with him starting on at right tackle if he did have to play right away. I don't think he's quite ready for left tackle, as you said. I agree with that. But promising guy. I do believe he'll be a huge piece to our offensive tackles future for the next couple years, and I believe he'll deliver there eventually because he's got the traits that you want. But we're gonna go ahead and move to our next portal commit, which is Lakota Dipre, which again, I hope I'm saying your name right. You can
I think it's
DM me or try
Dupree.
to Dupree.
Dupree.
Dupree. That probably makes sense phonetically, but Lakota Dupree, if you want to come on the show and correct me, please go ahead.
Please do. Please do.
But he had 17 receptions for 192 yards and three touchdowns last season at JMU. Was not under the coach who should not shall not be named. It was a different guy. But ultimately, what I saw of him is he's more of a run blocking specialist, and actually a very good run blocker. I remember his PFF grade for run blocking being quite high. I don't quite remember what it is, but it was, I believe, in the high 70s, which is very good. And we need better blockers at tight end, which I still don't understand, honestly, how Hayden Hansen, being as big as he was, being like 6'8", 270, how he couldn't just mow guys down in front of him.
Yeah,
But, that's a story for another day. Are you looking up his grade right now?
I am. His overall PFF grade was 71.7 with a pass blocking grade of 68.9. That's very good. And then a run blocking grade of 70.2 with
70.2.
with a receiving grade of 64.5. So that's not bad either.
Right. Those are all above average. So he's a
Yeah.
solid, well-rounded player. Bigger guy, 253. I think we're going to run more 11 personnel under Faulkner, so we won't see two tight ends on the field as much. So like people saying, oh, like will he start or will Amir Jackson start? Will they start together? Well, we don't know for one thing, and for two, they're not starting together because I think the first snap of 2026 will be 11 personnel, which
It
for
better be.
right, because we're gonna have too many good skill guys to sit on the bench. But for people that maybe aren't familiar with that term, 11 personnel is basically just one running back, one tight end, and four wide receivers. So uh, that would be what I put my money on. And I don't know, maybe because I believe Summerall mentioned that he wants to bring in also winners through the portal to kind of infect the culture here in a more
Mhm.
positive way. So maybe he wants a guy like that to start to kind of set the tone for the season or for the tight end room or whatever. But we will be grabbing another tight end. Unclear on who yet, but they're currently setting up some visits for some other portal tight ends. So there will be some competition in that room. But I'm sure, a guy like Lakota Dupree, there you go, is looking forward to that competition. He seems like that kind of guy. And again, if you want to come on the show, Lakota, feel free. But a defensive portal commit who was kind of under the radar, but I also like, is DK Kalu, who is from Baylor and is a big kind of three tech slash nose guy. He is 6'4" and 309 pounds. He had 10 total tackles this season, five solo and five assisted. Um, didn't have any sacks, but Trey, since you're Mr. PFF, you can go ahead and look up his grade if you wanted to. But he's a guy that's just going to do a job, basically. He's going to plug the middle and he's going to let other people around him kind of reap the rewards, which is a selfless job. And I do hope he gets some compensation for that, which he probably is. But he's just the kind of guy that does what he's asked and nothing more, nothing less. He's not going to have flashy stats, but I do like the pickup, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's probably more of a depth piece. Um, Here we're doing more PFF than I intended here, but for what it's worth, his PFF grade last year was 59.7, which isn't great, but uh, but yeah, I don't think we're looking at a starter here. He's still a pretty young player too, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. He's only
Um,
a sophomore, yeah.
yeah, so he's got time to develop, uh, and we need like not every transfer coming in is going to be a starter. They don't need to be starters. We need guys to come in and be rotational depth pieces.
Right. And like you said, if he's a depth guy, yay. If he's a starter, probably oh. not good. But
Well, I mean, it means he beat some people out, so maybe it's either way. But
I think we need a guy with more ability to create penetration for a starter. But as
I
a
would tend
depth
to agree.
piece, what's that?
I would tend to agree.
Right. And as like a rotational guy, though, I think it's a perfectly fine take.
Yeah.
But we had a couple guys from Tulane also come over officially. Alec Clark, punter from Tulane, who averaged 46 and a half yards per punt, which is really good,
Ooh,
um,
baby.
with a long of 70. And I love this stat right here. This is underrated because field position battle is vital. And he had 16 punts go inside the 20-yard line,
Nice.
which means he also has accuracy. Um,
Hmm.
very much appreciated to you, Alec. Thank you for coming. We needed a good punter. I feel like we were punter you for a while, but
Sure.
huh?
We were.
Yeah. I feel like we were, and we've kind of fallen off. But Alex looks like the kind of guy that would bring that moniker back.
Hmm.
And then Patrick Durkin, who was Tulane's kicker, he was a special teams player of the year for the AAC conference, who has a 90% field goal percentage. Um, really, just a really. I know Trey Smack was a phenomenal kicker and had a seemingly unlimited range, but I mean, it's hard to really beat that kind of portal pickup. I'm happy about both these guys coming in, honestly.
Yeah, these are both guys who were first team all conference. Uh, they're keeping their special teams coordinator with them too. So I think that's one part of the Tulane staff and team, the Tulane organization, that I'm really happy with just picking up and importing over to Gainesville.
Yeah, and really you can't ask for much more than that. Uh, his long was 52. Patrick Durkin, he scored 116 points this season. I mean, the guy, he really just he just really he didn't miss, honestly. But he also went 4 or 6 from 50 plus. We can expect more Trey Smack like performances from him. I think he was a great pickup. But moving on to our guy we haven't covered yet, but actually was the first portal commit is DJ Coleman, defensive back from Baylor, who this past season had 40 tackles and 2 interceptions. Kind of a hybrid guy. He's bigger at 6'2", around 210, 205. He might play star for us. He might play strong safety. He might play free safety. Maybe depends on the call or the coverage. I really like the pickup. Obviously, he had a lot of interest in us because we were his first visit basically right away, and he committed. But we need to reshape that safety room, and I think he was a great first step, honestly.
Yeah, the safety position has been really up and down and mostly down for UF for a long time. We the under not just McElwain and Mullen, but it carried over to Billy Napier as well. Uh, Now, like the cornerback play picked up a little bit. We've had some like pretty decent cornerback play, but safety has just been really, really iffy at a lot of times. So it's good that we're bringing in guys to hopefully be at least replacement level, if not better. Yeah, I've seen some of the stuff talking about him playing star as well. I'm sure there'll be cross training, like you said. He's a versatile piece. Uh, but yeah, we need guys at all the safety positions. So I'm sure we'll bring in multiple others as well. At least I hope so.
Yeah, I'm sure we are too. I know of one guy called Derek Dooley who transferred from Kentucky, um, who I hope that's his name, and I'm not just having the effect of Derek Dooley, the old Tennessee coach. But
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of.
uh, his name is his last name is Dooley, but he's a Kentucky safety. He will be visiting in the future, and I believe he will be coming here eventually because his old position coach and his old defensive coordinator are here at UF now. And really, since Castell left, there's kind of a wide open position there at strong safety, and that's
Mhm.
the position he played last year. Um, he also had two picks, I believe, and it would be a really strong addition. And I think after maybe him, we might be done. Maybe take one more. I honestly hope we take three because the safety play has just been abysmal for what feels like forever. And you can't ever, almost like linemen, you almost can't have enough when your safety play has been so bad
Yeah.
over the past half decade.
Yeah, we need a backup plan. We need to take more than just two safeties this class. We need at least three. Like I would say 3 to 4. And it's probably going to be three, I would say, at this stage of the game. But his name's Cam Dooley, by the way. Cam Dooley.
Cam Dooley.
But yeah,
My
I've
apologies,
heard,
Cam Dooley.
but yeah, I've heard good things about him. The rumors on the Kentucky boards are uh, that they really liked what they saw from him. So he wasn't the guy that they were trying to push out the door. He's one they wanted to keep. So if we're able to bring him, that'll be a great addition to the secondary.
Right, and we're gonna have a lot more portal action over the next. Let's see, today's the 6th, so it's 10 more days, and we're
Mm-hmm.
at unofficially 12 commits, officially 11. I think we'll see maybe 10 to 12 more. I hope. So by that math, we'd be pretty much halfway there,
Mm-hmm.
and we still have some spots to fill. And like you said, Trey, kind of backtracking a little bit, I do hope we get another quarterback, an experienced one. And well, it'll be interesting to see if anyone visits that's of that stature. But quarterbacks are flying off the track right now, and not all of them good, as FSU would know
Yeah.
with their guy they got. But this is not an FSU podcast, so they'll have to live with that misery, and we don't. But we're gonna go ahead and move into our last segment, presented by Fourth and Y, because if you're gonna regret it, you might as well regret it aggressively. So we're gonna go ahead and dive into our next segment here, and it's playoff talk, which we hope the Gators will be a part of very soon. But for now, we're gonna talk about the current teams, and maybe Gator fans will be cheered up by the fact that Georgia took a big fat sloppy L to Ole Miss in a really a great game too. It ended up being 39-34. Ole Miss got the dub, um, but I mean, really, I'm surprised really how good Ole Miss is, especially without Kiffin. But it's really they're a pleasure to watch, really.
Yeah, I think they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. A lot of people thought that maybe they would take a step down with Kiffin being gone, and I mean, understandably so. I kind of thought the same thing, but yeah, they were a real wild card going into these playoffs. And Pete Golding is delivering. They have been, and Trinidad Chambliss especially has been playing lights out. 'Cause this was a good Georgia team. Um, I mean, uh, coming into the year, it didn't seem like it was going to be like one of the better Georgia teams, especially early in the year. They kind of looked shaky at times, but down the stretch, I mean, especially in the SEC championship game, they looked scary, and the defense got a lot better as the season went on. So I think Ole Miss is in a really good position coming up against Miami here. Trinidad Chambliss is one of the hottest players in the playoffs right now, but Miami's defense is at least as good as Georgia's. It might be better. So we'll see. We'll see. But as far as Miami goes, I think so. They're a really good team this year. Their defense is awesome. Mark Fletcher is also one of the hotter players in the playoffs right now. But I maintain I may have been wrong about Miami getting blown up by Ohio State. And I'm ready to admit that
They
that
have
was my Miami anti-Miami bias shining through. But I maintain that Carson Beck is a bum and that has to bite them on the butt at some point. And I think it's this week.
I agree with the bum notion, but I'm gonna bum off your bum notion to make a pun. But really, I don't. Congrats to Miami, I guess. You know, whatever. But I really truly think that Ohio State is because of Brian Hartline. I know everyone's like, "Oh, Brian Hartline, he's going to USF, he's going to do this, he's going to do that." I think he's a bum of an OC. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
And when they played two great defenses this year, not even great, but just well above average.
They're pretty dang good. They're pretty good defenses.
We'll call Texas is great too, but when they played two great defenses this year in Texas and Miami, they scored 14 against Texas, and then they scored
Oh, you're forgetting the best defense they've played so far, which is Indiana.
that too.
That's what I
And
thought you were talking about. Miami and Indiana.
obviously they did very poorly in that game as well. But 14 points against Miami, and then 14 points against Texas, and then what did they put up against Indiana again? It wasn't very much.
10.
10. Okay, so I know you're facing great defenses, but you also have maybe the most offensive talent in the entire sport.
Yeah.
Um, that's just bum work right there, man. I can't get past that. And I think there's maybe a reason why Brian Hartline was kind of not given that job as play caller until now, and people are seeing why. And he actually has gotten, I haven't seen as much hate for it now the season's over as I expected because, OCs get a lot of the vitriol online. But
Well,
Miami,
to be fair, uh, Ryan Day was calling the offense against Miami. But still, I do tend to agree with you on Brian Hartline. I think there's a reason why he I mean, part of it was just because he's such a good wide receivers coach that Ohio State wanted to keep him as wide receivers coach. But I think, yeah, I think some there's a reason why it took so long for him to get that promotion that he obviously has been wanting. So yeah,
was it collaborative or was it just Day?
I I thought it was just Ryan Day who was calling it. I mean, Brian Hartline was still there on the sidelines, so I'm sure he was still like there was still input, and maybe it was collaborative. But my understanding was that Ryan Day was the one making the calls.
Oh, well, then he's a bum too. And that's why he like fired himself from calling plays a couple years ago. But,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I mean,
whatever.
there's
Bit
no
them in the
excuse
butt.
for the. I mean, yeah, like you said, they're really good defenses, but there's no there's no good excuse for why Ohio State shouldn't have done better against those defenses with as much talent as they have. They have arguably the best wide receiver in college football. Definitely, they're in the wide receiver two would be a wide receiver one on 98% of all the other teams in college football. Their quarterback was a Heisman finalist. They've got an over 1,000 yard true freshman running back. Uh, so yeah, I don't know. It is what it is.
It be what it be. And I like to watch Miami play again on Thursday against Ole Miss. So we will all be Ole Miss fans on that day.
Yeah.
But just really quick going over the Oregon Texas Tech game because that was my least favorite. But Oregon ended up winning 23-0. Texas Tech, even though I've even said on the podcast, I'm a huge fan of theirs. Had a great offense, great defense statistically. They looked like they knew they weren't ready for that moment yet, and
Mhm.
Oregon was, and I believe that reflected in their play. The defense started out pretty well, um, but ultimately it was just a game where Oregon looked comfortable and Texas Tech didn't.
Yeah, I think Texas Tech's defense, I think it's safe to say, is a pretty legit defense. Their offense was a bit of fool's gold, I think, feasting on some really poor, not well, some uh, lower level Big 12 teams, but their defense and especially their defensive line were really good this year. And I mean, Oregon was not able to run the ball very well, and it's not like they. Yes, it was technically a blowout because their defense shut out Texas Tech, but they scored it was what, 19 points. So yeah, they'll be back next year. They'll be back next year, and I'm sure they'll be better next year as well.
Yeah, well, maybe Texas Tech found the miracle in their $5 million quarterback that they just got, Brendan Sorsby.
Hmm.
Um, maybe that will fix all their issues. It's just throwing a bunch of money at a guy who is quite good, I will add.
Yeah.
But I do also, because this just hurt my brain when I saw this, but I also want to give this little caveat that in the 1980s, SMU got the death penalty for paying their players 61,000 combined,
Yeah.
61,000. And then Texas Tech now in 2026 just signed their quarterback, one player, to a $5 million deal. I mean, it's just crazy.
SMU was just ahead of the times.
You got to think they're just throwing their arms up right now, thinking, "What are we doing?"
Yeah.
Like, you know, gosh, they just got to be, questioning everything. But they're doing well the past couple of years, so they're getting back on their feet. But the last game from the quarterfinals was Alabama and Indiana, and oh my gosh, I could not love more how good Indiana is and how big of a beating they put on um, Alabama.
Well, so my parents are both from Alabama, so I don't hate Alabama the way most people do. But man, I did expect Indiana to win. I did not expect them to make Alabama look that silly. I mean, my goodness, Indiana looks unbeatable right now. I mean, they're I I'd be shocked if anyone is going to be picking against them in any game moving forward.
You can't,
Yeah,
just
you
can't do
can't.
it.
You can't pick against them. They look invincible right now. They looked human against Ohio State and even against Oregon, uh, which were the two best talent rosters they had played previous to that. But Alabama was the best talent roster yet from a pure just recruiting rating standpoint. That's the best roster they've faced yet, and they demolished them. It was it was definitely the most easily the most shocking result of the day. That's for sure.
Definitely not the same old, Nick Saban Alabama at all.
No.
And Indiana, I mean, I think truly we're seeing, I would call it like once in a lifetime uh, coaching right now because that is not a roster
Mm-hmm.
that logically should play as well as they do. I mean, it's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no other way to describe it. How a team full of, three stars, which I'm looking at their talent composite right now, which I think we've done before, but I just
Mm-hmm.
want to reiterate. They have seven four stars on their roster according to this team talent composite, which might be a little bit off because it says they only have 67 players. But oh man,
But yeah, I mean,
almost did it again.
and
But
the
I'm gonna move on.
craziest, the even crazier part is they've when you look at their transfer portal classes, it's not like their transfer portal classes have been chock full of, highly rated transfer portal players. Like look, Old Miss, their high school recruiting rankings have not aren't great, but they've gotten some big names in the portal for the last few years. Indiana has still been getting like relative nobodies
Hmm.
in the portal as well, and they're still just all of them performing like 5 stars. It defies all logic, all pre-existing wisdom about roster building. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But it's fun to watch.
Right. And Indiana has no 5 stars on their roster, like actual 5 stars. Alabama has 14.
Mm-hmm.
And just for a reference point, I mean, we all saw how bad Wake Forest was this year, just in the cellar pretty much. And they're 2 spots behind Indiana in the talent composite. I mean, that's just mind blowing. I mean, what do they do to these players that, that Signetti has? They give them like the Michael Jordan secret sauce or secret serum thing that they do in the movie, it's just crazy. But
It's going to come out. It's going to come out next offseason that they've just given them crazy amounts of steroids and
right. steroids and fever
Steroids
dreams.
and cocaine before every game.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I have no explanation, but
Oh
I hope
yeah,
they win the whole thing. I
yeah.
think they're going to win the whole thing.
And
Uh,
let's pause for a second here and think about the fact that we could have an Indiana versus Ole Miss national championship game. The odds are not bad. Imagine telling that to anyone 10 years ago that the
Even 5 years
two
ago.
players, that's even crazier than in 2007 when we were this close to like a Kansas versus Missouri or whatever it was. This is even crazier than that. Indiana and Ole Miss have been the bottom dwellers of their respective conferences forever.
Yeah, I really don't know what would be better, Indiana winning a national championship in football or Ole Miss winning a national championship without Lane Kiffin, which has
Yeah,
been
right?
like a lifelong goal. I don't know which one would be better. I would love both of those things.
Yeah.
Whatever is not Miami or Oregon. I mean, Oregon's never won a
I'm
national
fine with
championship
Oregon.
either.
I'd be fine with Oregon winning it. As long as Miami doesn't win it, I'm happy.
Yeah, so basically 75% chance that
Yeah.
we'll be happy. Oregon has not won a national championship either, so I guess I'd be, it's whatever if they win one. They put
Dan
so
Lanning
much,
will win one at some point.
yeah, and they put so much daggone money into their program that it's probably inevitable um, at some point. But just to clarify, Oregon is playing Indiana Friday, and Ole Miss is playing Miami Thursday. Which matchup of those two are you most looking forward to, by the way?
Probably Miami Ole Miss. Just because mainly just because I care more about who wins that game. Like I'm rooting for Miami, or sorry, forget that. I never said that. I'm rooting for
We're gonna make that our
Indiana.
intro.
I'm rooting for Indiana um, over Oregon, but I wouldn't be mad if Oregon won. I would I would not be happy if Miami won. So I have an active rooting interest in that game. So that's the one I'm most excited about.
We're gonna make that our intro where you said that you're
No, please
Miami.
don't.
Um, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'd say that. Oregon and Indiana, I'm sure will be a good game, but they've actually already played too.
Yeah, that
Um,
too.
we failed to mention that Indiana did beat Oregon at their place before earlier in the season. It's hard to beat a good team twice, but if anyone's going to do it, I think Indiana will. I think they'll win again. Miami Ole Miss is really interesting because it's going to be a chess match of how Chambliss moves around and deals with those fantastic ends that Miami has, and how Miami tries to scheme to stop him to run and use his legs and extend plays. That's going to be a fantastic battle. And how Miami, with their great front seven, tries to stop Lacey, which no one's been able to do. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, even Georgia and their defense, who really came on down the stretch, uh, wasn't able to stop Lacey. But yeah, so I like I said before, I'm still gonna go with Ole Miss, and I fully recognize that there's anti-hurricane bias talking there. Um, because Miami does have the advantage on both lines of scrimmage. That's pretty indisputable. But Ole Miss has the quarterback. And if you got a quarterback, you got a chance.
That is true. And I will say that Ole Miss will not be able to tackle Mark Fletcher. That is not going to happen. That is not going to happen. And the score would probably be somewhere in the 30s, like it was for um, Ole Miss and Georgia. I wouldn't be surprised. Which, honestly, when you make Carson Beck irrelevant in the game, that's probably a good thing for Miami. They probably should just
Yeah.
run the ball and give the ball to their fantastic freshmen and just kind of, do that and win on the heels of your defense. Trust them like you have all year. But we're both going to be actively rooting against them, so I wish them the worst. All right, you guys, well, let's wrap on tonight's show. We appreciate you all tuning in. We'll be back next week with more takes, more highlights, and maybe a few more bold predictions. But until then, you stay loud, you stay proud, and as always, go Gators. Adios from Two Guys, One Swamp.
Heck yeah, baby. Go Gators.
Go Gators.